Good afternoon. Before I begin, I'm going to drink some water because I'm thirsty. Hope you have a notebook and a pad, notebook, pen ready. If not, get prepared because there's going to be a bunch of series. I'm also going to be sharing with you what will be in my upcoming book regarding this topic. You're going to get a taste of that. Let me know how you're doing. Drop a hey in the comments. I have to check my video and make sure that there is sound. Will be coming. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 3, 2, 1. Let me know how you're doing. Yep. Okay. Gonna drop some fire. I have my notes here, and this is stuff that's gonna be in my book in more detail. Dropping pages here. A lot of stuff. So this is stuff that's notes, things of that nature, because this is a deep, deep topic. I'm older, I'm wiser. Some of you women out there are also older and wiser. We know the signs, things of that nature. Nobody's really discussing this topic because the truth hurts. But like I always say, the truth will set you free, and it's better to embrace the truth rather than to embrace a lie. And also the reason why this topic that I'm about to discuss is also not a popular topic, again, because it's the truth. And sometimes people are just too concerned about dancing around other people's feelings, not aware of the fact that open rebuke is better than hidden love. Being truthful ushers in accountability. It ushers in, the ability for people to think outside the box and change their perspective of something that was not beneficial or has not been beneficial to them for a long period of time, at which point it's just food for thought. So the information that I share moving forward, you can, marinate on it, think about it, and make some positive changes that are going to be very beneficial for you, that are going to work and get you out of that hole that you have been in emotionally, physically, and always encountering toxic relationships, things of that nature. This message and the others that I share with you are basically designed from personal experiences, past experiences, present experiences, indicative of my healing, my growth, also stories from other people and how they've overcome. And so that if you ever encounter a toxic situation or a man and through deception and you're trying to heal, you're going to learn how to navigate through that healing much quicker than you've ever realized. Your bounce back game is going to be so fucking intense, and you're not going to linger in that type of scenario. So drop a hey in the comments, a hello, a good afternoon. Feel at liberty to share your feelings, your thoughts, your opinions, the situations that you have gone through. Any questions that you have for me, any comments, drop a hey. And yeah, so let's begin. Okay, so I'm going to give you three words and their definition. Okay, one is empowered. The second one is empower. Empowered, I'm going to give the definition in past tense. Empower, I'm going to give the definition in present tense. The third one is free will. And there is great confusion around being an empowered woman or a woman that is empowering. And those two things, being empowered and empowering, is getting confused with free will. None of them have anything in common. However, all three serve a purpose, and all three, depending on what you are choosing to be, determines your outcome and your success in your own self-growth, advancement, and future relationships, things of that nature. So past tense, empowered, to give someone the authority or power to do something. To be empowered means you are protecting your power. The word empowered, again, in past tense, is to give someone the authority or power to do something, right? And that could also be yourself, or to empower. So here is the present tense. If you are empowered, that means you are protecting your power. So you are now able, skilled, and readily available to instruct, teach, and empower. Basically, instruct, teach, and empower others because you are empowered, right? So the present tense to the word empower is to make someone stronger, more confident, especially in controlling their life and claiming their rights. Okay, we're going to go over that again. Free will, the definition of free will, and the reason why I'm giving this definition is not because people don't know the definition. However, most people know the definition, but they're not going to be able to recount the definition word for word and what it represents unless they're hitting that dictionary, unless it's memorized. So they basically just skim off the top of it. And there are some people who, when you ask them, what does the word empowered mean? What does the word empower mean? They'll sometimes equate that to themselves. Well, it's to be empowered, to believe in yourself, or to believe in something and to stand for something. So now that I've given you the definitions of empowered and being empowered, you can understand now that those that skim off the top with that answer, it's actually incorrect and the opposite. So, free will, the power of acting without constraints. Wow, let's look at that for a moment. Free will is the power that you have to act without any constraints. Backing up. To be empowered means you are protecting your power, which you should be doing, and some women are not doing that. I'm going to explain why, right? In addition, it's to bring awareness, right, to the fact in present tense, now that you're empowered, you have the ability to empower others, to make them stronger, to make them confident based on what you know, how you present, so on and so forth, especially in controlling their life and their claiming their rights. The word controlling is taking authority, exercising self-control and power over what? Ultimately protecting your power, who you are, what you represent, right? It's interesting that the term free will states the power of acting without constraints. What would you rather have, and what would you rather be representing? An individual who operates without constraints, chaos, destruction, willy-nilly, or would you rather represent an individual who is in control, confident, has constraints, has boundaries, has self standards, self-love, self-respect, self-awareness? I'm going with that one because I refuse to settle. And I know a lot of you ladies out there feel the same way, and there's some that don't, because they're confusing this. They're confusing what the true definition of being an empowered woman is and exercising free will. Women who are exercising their free will are operating without constraints. So they are not in control, they are not empowered, and they are giving their power away. And moving forward with the definition of free will, again, it says the power of acting without the constraints of necessity or fate. It is the ability to choose to act without constraints, self-awareness, self-boundaries, boundaries in general, without the necessity, regard, concern of what the outcome of your fate will be, or also it's the ability to act at one's own discretion. So let's break that down a bit. The ability, free will is the ability to act at one's own discretion. Very interesting. Gotta love free will. Gotta love free will. Free will doesn't have any shackles on it, right? There's no bondage in free will. It's free, right? It's free. Because the word free will has the word free in it, it does not mean you're free. Wow. Let me repeat that again. Let me just have a little bit of my water. It also gives some time for people to digest what I've just shared. Because the word free will has the word free in it, it does not mean you're free. And how do we know that? For two reasons. Number one, and above all, the truth is what will set you free and shall set you free. It's better to embrace the truth rather than a lie, because you don't want to live in bondage, right? We also know that just because the word free will has the word free in it, it does not mean you're free, because it clearly says in its definition, drum roll, the power of acting without constraints of necessity or fate, the ability to act at one's own discretion. And where does the bondage come in? Can anybody answer this question? If you're operating in free will, when is it possible when you're operating in free will to possibly hit a snag, make a mess of things, enter into bondage, end up depressed, upset, wondering why can't I find anybody? Why can't I get this right? Why can't I do this? Blah, 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 blah. Entering into the victim mentality. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you can operate in free will, because you have the power of acting without constraints. You have the ability to fuck shit up. But does that mean you want to do it? Generally, we learn from our mistakes, and that's a given. The problem is when we don't learn from our mistakes, in addition to that, we have to make mistakes in order to learn from them, which is why I give my messages. And it is my hope that the messages are being heard and it's sinking in loud and clear, because I want you to be free. I want you to be actually empowered and then move forward and to empower others. I don't want followers. I don't want fans. The name is there. It comes out because, that's the quickest thing. I want some leaders. Anybody that I am meeting with, talking with, and these messages that I share, I want you to be empowered and understand what's happening. I want to pull the blinders off your eyes and the deception and remove it, and for you to start making some choices to walk in your full potential. And the only way you're going to do that is by embracing and really thinking about what these messages represent and hearing the truth that for some of you out there that think you're an empowered woman walking and you're empowered and you're empowering others, you just simply are not. And I'm going to outline why you're not. And I'm going to also tell you, I still got love for you. I absolutely have love for you, because I would not be sharing this message with any of you. Because again, open rebuke is better than hidden love. We correct our children, do we not? If you have children, you understand where I'm going with this. You have love for your brother and sister. You have love for one another. You're going to tell them the truth. You're going to give them the truth because you want them to do what's right. You want to see them grow in their full potential. You want them to be leaders, not followers. Empowered women don't follow anybody, sweetheart. We lead. Hi, Tina Bean. Welcome. So when we exercise our free will, while we have the opportunity to make mistakes, don't keep walking in those mistakes, okay? When the choices made are wrong, we're intentionally making a wrong choice. We're doing that out of free will, and that does not mean that we are empowered, and we do not have the ability to empower others as a result. When we are literally choosing to make the wrong decisions and we're choosing to intentionally select that fucked up dude out there. Our confidence as an empowered woman is not predicated on what a man thinks, feels about us. It should never be predicated on how many men we can get and what a man, or having a man, period. An empowered woman does not need a man. And again, like I said, I'm not cock blocking out there. I'm castrating, baby. I want you women to walk empowered and to start empowering others so that we can basically, that's the antidote to curing this festering disease with toxic men. Can you imagine if every single woman out there actually finally started to embrace this and started telling men and set their boundaries like, sorry, I don't do no hookups. Sorry, I don't do no friends with benefits. I ain't desperate. I'm not crying out for love. I love myself. I don't need a warm body. I can buy a fucking heated blanket, an electric blanket. I got my puppy. I'm keeping my mind right, my body right, my mind tight, my body tight. Keeping myself healthy. And when it's the one, and I'm going to go like full on in. So no, you can keep your hookups, you can keep your lies, you can keep your cheating. Can you imagine? There'd be a lot of men out there using their fucking hands. Blunt too. There's going to be a lot of men that are going to have to raise their game and step up to the plate. Some of them won't, but who gives a shit? As long as you women out there grow in strength and really start walking in your full potential and empowerment, you're going to find yourself much more happier, more in control, and you're going to elevate to a point where you're going to start bringing the right people, places, and things in your environment. And who gives a crap about that toxic guy? He's just going to be asked out, right? So can you imagine if all the women literally got the message of what it really means to be empowered and to empower others, like the impact we could make, in our society, and especially to the younger girls out there, that they're seeing you older women out there doing this and they're getting the wrong message. And yeah, that's why our youth are out there, not shaking their ass with class. And what I mean by shaking your ass with class is, like, I always envision you're with the right person if you choose to get into a relationship and you find the right one, right? There's nothing wrong with shaking your ass with class, and that's what that means. A monogamous relationship with that one person, not spreading yourself out with one night stands. Exactly, Tina. All that nonsense just because you want to have a connection, you're lonely, you want a warm body. I've heard some women out there talking about, I've never been loved by a man, but that's not that's the scariest part. I've never been loved by a man, so hopping in the sack with them is not fucking love. That, like, equating sex to love is a big no. Sex is an extension of love, but it has absolutely nothing to do with love. Okay, so moving forward, we have discussed empowered, empowering, and free will. Next. Oh, I hope you're ready for this fire. Oh, I hope you're ready, because now we're going to get really intense. Let me just read what Tina Bean wrote. I found my freedom as a solo act. Yes, you have. Had a one-night stand. He followed me around for 7 years. Ugh, never again. Yeah, that can happen. And that was in your younger years, sweetheart. You're wiser for it now. You know what the right path is. So, this is something that's going to be in my book, From Loneliness to Life. Okay, and I'll discuss that another time. Empowered is not the same as free will. However, yes, however, you have the free will to choose to be empowered. Choose it. For example, some women exclaim, "So what? I love sex. I'll dress any way I want to." Some of you out there are like, "I'll dress any way the fuck I want to." Some of you get really down and low. Okay, I'm an empowered woman. I'm confident in my own skin. I have no problem sleeping with as many men as I want to. Hooking up or having friends with benefits is my choice because I'm in control and I'm confident. Ooh, really? To have this mentality, because women are stigmatized for being called a slut, a whore, etc. And to send the message of being empowered by doing those things to break that stigma is an actual thumbs down. If I had like multiple hands like an octopus, thumbs down. So you women out there that get it, give me a thumbs down. Drop it in the comment. In all actuality, it's not breaking that stigma at all. you're actually reinforcing it. Think of that for a moment. Because again, you're not empowered by choosing to do that. You are, in essence, again, exercising free will. And I've already discussed the definition of free will. For those that have not heard it clearly, word for word, you can look in the dictionary, or I'll just repeat it one last time. And it says, free will is the power of acting without constraints. Oh, without constraints of necessity or fate. So you can operate like that, and your fate could be an incurable STD. It could be having your heart broken. It could be, thinking you're going to change a man to commit to you. And in all actuality, you're with somebody who is just using you. You're giving your power away. It could be all of the above. Free will is the ability to act at one's own discretion, even when the choices made are wrong and intentionally making a wrong choice. To be empowered means to protect your power. Past tense, to use the word I'm empowered implies that you already have control and power over something. Why? Because the word empowered means, in past tense once again, to give someone the authority or power to do something. You cannot be empowered. You cannot empower others if you are not empowered. Past tense, present tense, empower. Present tense, once again, to use the word empower means to make someone stronger, more confident, especially in controlling their life and claiming their rights. You are not in control when you're giving your power away. So again, for example, these women that say that they're empowered, they're tired of hearing men use the word slut, whore, and how dare they call me those things, just for liking sex, and I can sleep with whomever I want to sleep with and hook up. I as a woman should be able to hook up and screw whoever I want because I'm an empowered woman. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I know what I want, and I shouldn't have to be stigmatized, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, those are the very same women that come with their heart broken, they're upset, they're depressed, they have anxiety. And at the end of the day, when that really gets old, and it does, and as it will, they're crying about not being able to find the right man. Their reputation actually, in some cases, get dragged through the mud. They're being looked upon as like, she's definitely not somebody that you could have a serious relationship. For the men that finally decide, I can't live like this anymore, they want a serious relationship, they'll then just turn away that girl and be like, no, she slept with this one, slept with that one. But remember, you were being an empowered woman by sleeping with whomever you wanted, had hookups, friends with benefits, things of that nature, right? And he was cool with it, and he was down with it, okay? And so what has happened? You then uncover, if you really look at it, you were not operating in your power. You were giving it away. You were not empowered, and therefore you do not have the ability to empower other women as a result. Now, moving forward, you have also reinforced the stigma that you were running from to start with, which is to be labeled as being a slut, this, that, and those terms are horrible. I absolutely agree. They are horrible. They're horrible. But you do not eradicate that type of disrespect from men and the words that they use on women by sleeping with them, and sleeping with them without the bounds of, without any type of self-love and self-respect for yourself. That's not how you eradicate that stigma. You eradicate that stigma by walking in your self-worth, by being empowered and empowering other women to do the same, by saying, I'm not entertaining your one-night stands, your hookups. And if you are having an inability to walk in that authority and power, you in essence are not walking in self-love. Because if you want a man that bad that you're going to take it any way you can have it, there's something broken inside. Oh, but all the men out there are like that anyway. Like there's no good guy that respects that. Like, I have to sleep with them because if I don't sleep with them, they're going to sleep with somebody else. Let them sleep with somebody else. Pigs love to get dirty. You don't have to be in that pig pen. You are an empowered woman that is also looking to empower others. And if that's the type of man that's out there and that's what you're coming across, you just keep plugging away, Focus on you, love yourself, and you will meet the right one if that's what you so choose. Personally, an empowered woman ain't even looking. It happens, it happens. But in the meantime, she's not out there fucking everybody. She's not out there making a selection of one or two guys that, she just meets, for some side sex. You're sending the wrong message about what you represent, and that guy is not going to tell you that that is not the way to operate. He's going to love that. But I can guarantee you, any man out there that operates like that, and if they have a daughter, they would flip out if their daughter was operating like that, okay? And they don't want their daughter to operate like that. That's why a lot of men who are fathers will tell their daughters, stay away from this type of guy. So you as a grown-ass woman should already know better, and if you don't, you do now, right? So I have another message for you before I close. Hang tight, sweethearts. About to level up, advance to royalty, baby. We are going to advance, and I hope you're coming with me. And if not, come on to the boot camp. Come on, day by day. We're going to get this going. We're going to make this happen. So, to have this mentality, because women are stigmatized for being called a slut, a whore, and what's that mentality? Oh, should be able to hook up, and I should be able to do these things, and I should have no problem with saying that I love sex, and to do all those things without being called a slut and all those other things. Again, doing those things, you are not removing the stigma. You are reinforcing the stigma. And again, you're also sending the message to men that all women encompass this thinking and this behavior. And it also, here's another interesting part. It really does not force a guy or the men that operate like this to change. Can you imagine? And I said this earlier on, but let's just up it up, but put it up a notch. Can you imagine if every friggin' woman actually operated like this? The men out there would be down and dirty to begin with. Some of them just would not change. And people, let's just face it, some people just don't change, right? So that's a given. We're not going to focus on that. But what about the ones that eventually it hits them hard? Okay, and backing up, even the ones that had an inability to change, if every woman actually stuck to their principles and walked in their empowerment and literally did this and walked in what the true definition of being an empowered woman is, that would also cause some men to be accountable. Like I said, they would have to raise their game, and some of them will do it and some won't. The bottom line is, don't drag yourself down in the mud for these types. It's not cool. Not cool at all. It's not sexy. That is not what being an empowered woman is. Because again, what are the definitions of empowered, empower, and free will? Just look them up. You don't have to take my word for it, So, in essence, some women are reinforcing the stigma against women because they're choosing free will, calling it being empowered to act without constraints, taking away their power. Telling you, this is some eye-opening stuff. And when you really understand what the truth is and the definition is, you're going to say, wow, I really need to look at some things and change some things in my behavior and how I'm operating. And it's like, no wonder I keep attracting these idiots and these predators, I didn't ask for this. So again, you women that operate like this, if you are messing with a highly disordered man, someone who is a psychopath, a sociopath, a narcissist, they have no empathy. Okay, you're not only putting yourself in a really dangerous situation, like you are literally putting yourself in a dangerous situation with those types. This is where you can have, and again, this doesn't just pertain to highly disordered men when I say this one part. That's how you have date rape. That's how you have these women getting drugged up, you got to watch who you're dealing with. Okay, so if you're dealing with a highly disordered man that's a narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, and you operate with that distorted view that you're being an empowered woman and you're gonna have one night stands after, you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation, because we've discussed what these highly disordered men represent. They don't have empathy, compassion, they're predators. There's a whole host of other issues, sex addictions. You're putting your physical body at risk. You're putting your emotional health at risk. They will play games with you. They will manipulate. They'll spin off the illusion that they want a relationship, but they don't. They really do not care about you. So the highly disordered individual, like, just is void of feelings. So they don't care if they hurt you. They can pretend that they do, but they don't really care. They will destroy you if you stay around that. Okay. The ones that are not highly disordered, they're still not good to be around either. Okay. But either way, you don't want to entertain any of these types. And having this wrong thinking about what an empowered woman represents, again, is reinforcing the stigma that's out there. It's not protecting yourself. You're giving your power away, and you, an empowered woman, protects her power. Okay, please remember this. So take a moment to think about this. Now, if this type of woman claims that she's empowered because she's entertaining hookups, one night stands, sleeping with men that are already in a relationship, sleeping with men and, like, well, I just have to have sex. No, you don't. Like, honestly, no, you don't. And I'm going to talk about the whole sex and dressing sexy and all this other stuff and how those things, like loving sex is not an issue. Dressing sexy is not an issue, especially for an empowered woman. But loving sex in the context of I'm cool with doing the hookups and this and that, and then calling yourself an empowered woman, you're not. Again, you are exercising free will. So saying that you're empowered, you are not. Again, you are giving your power away. So let me ask a question, and this should be a no-brainer, but I'm curious to know how many would know this answer. Who exactly, a woman that operates in this capacity, who is she giving her power to? Like, who is she giving her power to? Okay, so who is that someone else? I wonder if anybody has the answer to that question. Yes, we do great damage to ourselves doing things like this. Yes, we do. And it's, Tina, you're correct. And it's better to understand this and learn this lesson now rather than end up, having a whole host of issues and having to muddle through a lot of battlefields, which I've had to go through to have this awareness, which is why, without restraint, I'm empowering you out there to recognize this sooner than later and take back your life. Okay. So while I wait for somebody to answer the question that you guys know that I'm going to end up answering anyway, but I want to know how many people out there know the answer. When a woman operates in the wrong capacity, who is she giving her power away to? Right? Who is that someone? Who is it? Who is the person these type of women are empowering? Feel free to answer. Take a moment, think about that, right? Because we're going to look at the definition of empower once again. Empower is to make someone stronger and more confident. Women who give their power away, here's the answer, to men. Women who give their power away to men are, in short, not empowered. Control is lost. The men who are not emotionally mature have no desire to commit. Some women, out of desperation, are choosing to be controlled by the way a toxic man chooses to live his life. So his life is completely out of control, right? And in turn, meets him at his low level. This woman will then meet him at his low level. These men have no desire to commit. They're emotionally immature. They're toxic. This woman over here is desperate, low self-esteem, no confidence, or is covering that up with saying that she's empowered by sleeping around, and because it gives her, some type of idea that she's somehow, feeling loved by that or accepted and embraced, or it's like all short-term nonsense, like cheap thrills. Like we were joking about that, a friend and I. Cheap thrills. You're giving your power away to these men who live their life through free will out of control with no boundaries, no self-respect, no nothing. So this is not a question of, oh, we can do whatever we want to do, this, that, and whatever. You absolutely can, because you are operating in free will. Just remember that the next time that is brought to the forefront about doing whatever you want to do. Also remember that there's consequences based on what free will represents. So you absolutely can do all these things, but when you have the consequences, and that's the objective here, so that you don't have to have these consequences of the pain, the strife, and all the negatives that come along with giving your power away like that, while you may have the free will to do that, be careful next time around to not say you're empowered, because you're not an empowered woman operating like that. So the short version is, this type of woman lowers her standards. She chooses and is choosing to settle without being aware. Some of you girls out there, you're not even aware that you are choosing to settle, because an empowered woman is a leader and not a follower. She protects her power. She does not give that away to just anybody. She's not sleeping around. She's not having hookups. She's not cheating. She's not sleeping with somebody else's, boyfriend. She's not saying, I need a friends with benefits. That is not what an empowered woman is doing. Again, for those that are choosing to operate like that, they're operating in free will, because I've shared the definition, which later on I will close again with what the definition of empowered is. Empowering, an empowered woman can empower others. You first have to be empowered to empower others. And then thirdly, free will. And those people, the women out there, including the men, the toxic men, they're choosing free will, because free will means to operate and make choices without constraints. Empowered means you have constraints, you have restrictions, you have boundaries, and they are all under the umbrella of self-love, self-respect. And those that have self-love, self-respect do not operate in poor choices to their mind, body, will, emotions. They do not entertain anything less than what they deserve. They do not settle for anything less than what they deserve. They want that 1,000% advancement in life and growth, and they are very protective of that, and they don't allow just anybody access to that. They got to protect that, right? So empower is to make someone strong and more confident, okay? So she's lowering her standards, and so there's women out there that are choosing to settle and lower their standards, and they're not even aware that that's what they're doing. Okay, so now it is my hope, since you've heard this message, that you are now aware, and to backtrack and to make some changes, because you deserve so much more than the road that you're on. Okay, you also, the woman is also aware and still chooses to do these things. Honestly, she just does not care. She does not care. Both are not strong. Newsflash, both are not strong, and they are examples of, and poor examples. They're not strong examples. They're not strong. They're not being empowered, and they are not strong examples of what an empowered woman represents. In fact, it is not an example of an empowered woman at all. It is a woman who is operating by free will, by choice. Because remember, to be empowered means to have control. You do not have control when you give your power away. And how are the men receiving your power? Because you are boosting their ego. You are giving them what they want. You are dealing with men that have no desire to commit. And some of them even tell you, and you still will lay down thinking that you're going to change their direction. And some of you just don't care either way. But then you down the road, when you end up in a bad situation with that individual, you either find out that they were in a relationship with somebody that time, or they're in one still, and you're getting confronted. I mean, this is also too how, like, you have women. First of all, I don't fight over dick, and empowered women don't fight over dick. So this is also exactly why these type of women, you're not empowered. And it is my hope that you hear this message clearly and you become empowered, because you don't want no toxic man winning anyway. Come on now, take your power back. But this is how other women start getting down and dirty. They're pitting against each other like, oh, you're messing with my man. Stop fighting over dick. Pretty simple, right? So you're walking in this free will and doing whatever you want to do and however you want to do it, with no constraints, with no boundaries, with no restrictions, that are all indicative of self-love, self-presentation. So you think that shit's cool until like the girlfriend comes banging on your door, or you get phone calls and things of that nature, like, I'm with him right now. Like, what are you doing? You know, or, there's the women out there that are just as sneaky as the guy. It's like the girl's aware that he's in a relationship, right? And he's made it clear, and they're both just like sneaking around. Like, that shit has consequences. And the consequences is nothing but drama, negativity, strife. And those two individuals will never be happy or find happiness, because that's the energy that they're putting out. And that's the energy they're going to get back in return. And in the end, those two types of individuals end up destroying each other in the end. There's nothing good that comes out of any of those situations. So for the people out there talking about they don't like drama, they don't like messes, you're creating that by being in that environment. And especially, I find it ironic. A lot of the times, the people that say it the loudest are the two people that are liars, cheating, walking in toxicity. They're cheating on their partner, their spouse, and they're, oh yeah, I don't like all that drama. But literally, they're like living it. And I laugh because that's the truth. The amount of deception out there is thick. And the things that people tell themselves to cover up their deception and cover their crimes and the toxic things and characteristics that they need to change is so heavy and so thick. An empowered woman sees through that, and she wants absolutely nothing to do with that, because she wants good her way, right? She holds her power. She protects her power. Let the people that are lying in the mud and the dirt stay there. Don't make the choice to be alongside with them, because it is a path to destruction. It does not help advance you in any way, shape, or form. It is deceptive, and eventually it catches up to you in one way or the other. Okay? So here we go again. Being empowered is not your ability to be in control. Actually, being empowered. Correction. Being empowered is your ability to be in control of self-control. How many people out there can do that? That shit is hard. That takes strength. That takes like growth. That takes self-love, self-respect. That's hard. It's easy for anybody to hook up, have a friends with benefits, screw multiple people, and just have a free-for-all. It's so easy to operate in free will, right? Because the definition of free will is to operate and make choices without constraints. Try self-control on for size. Let's see how strong you really are. Let's see that. That strength is there. You're empowered. You're protecting your power. Then you can call yourself empowered and then impart that to others. Because this is that movement that we want, especially now. Here we are in 2020, and I've already shared the statistics that the relationships, marriages are on the decline. They are on the decline. I get happy, and I'm actually, when I see people talk about how they're married X amount of years and it's successful, right? They're open and honest with each other. There's no deception, no bullshit. That's an awesome thing, because it's friggin' rare today. Okay, so now more than ever, you need to be protecting your power, not being a sheep, not being a follower, and thinking that the definition of being empowered is giving your power away, because it is not. And that is exactly why relationships are in the disarray that you see today. It's that anything goes mentality. No, it's nothing wrong with it. No, it's okay. It's my choice. Damn right, it's your choice. You are exercising free will. You are not empowered, because the definition of free will is making choices without constraints. The definition of being empowered is being in control. Being in control and protecting your power and being in control of your life. And those things are predicated on self-love, self-awareness. Okay? Showing you're empowered isn't displayed in how well you rock that sexy outfit. Being empowered is rocking that sexy outfit for your damn self, first of all, and denying access to men who have no self-control. You can look good. Nobody's out there telling you, you're a slut because you show some skin or whatever. You can look good. It's how you go about doing it. That's why I say shake that ass with class, not with trash. Shake that ass with class and shake it not with trash, as in don't shake it with trash. Don't shake it alongside trash. Don't be laying with trash. Shake it with class, right? So being empowered is in your ability to be in control of self-control, self-love, and self-respect, right? That's what that represents. It is not, showing you're empowered is not predicated on hookups, friends with benefits, how many men you can sleep with outside of your relationship. And this is the same thing that I share that applies to you men out there and to the toxic men out there, which most likely goes in one ear and out the other, but whatever. But this is also the same message for the men, except the term empowered, it sounds more flowery, right? But for them, that would mean how you fucking lead. There you have it. So a woman who's empowered embraces what I have shared, and a man who is a man, not a boy, understands what I've shared already, and as a result, he takes lead. He teaches other men how to respect women and other men, as in that could be guys out there that are already hosting classes, and they exist, and I know that they're in some nonprofits dealing with women that have come out of domestic violence. There's like some nonprofits that I've heard of that are discussing men taking a stand to eradicate their toxic ways and their patterns, and to encourage and pat other men on the back on what it means to respect themselves, what it means to respect a woman, things like that. The boys out there, they're patting each other on the back because they're talking about how many women they fucked. And you, quote unquote, empowered women that are not really empowered, giving your power away, you're being talked about very trashy behind your back, little do you know, because these men are discussing you in that capacity with other boys. So these boys, are discussing you in that capacity with other boys. And that's the cold hard truth. So the women that think that, sleeping around and their decision to exercise their free will to have hookups and sleep around and cheat and mess with other women's, partners and things of that nature is them being an empowered woman, and that to say that they love sex, and to have all that type of sex and to do what they want when they want it means that they're just walking in empowerment and they're empowered. And no, you are exercising free will. And again, the definition of free will is the power of acting without constraints of necessity or fate, the ability to act out one's discretion. So even when choices are made and they're wrong choices, whether you're doing them intentionally or unintentionally, that's your free will. That has nothing to do with being empowered, because being empowered means that it's to give someone the authority or power to do something. And to empower other women is to bring awareness that to that fact, making someone stronger and more confident is controlling their life. To be empowered means you protect your power. Okay? So now we're going to go over, I asked a question earlier this morning, and I'm going to show you an example of this, and an example, and some men do this and they'll say this. You women, you have to, the women that are operating out of free will and not being empowered, just please recognize that you build your self-esteem and your self-confidence, and this is how you do this based on everything that I've just shared. Start making the right decisions and choices regarding how you choose to interact relationally with men. Start asking yourself the question, am I going after this guy for sex, because I'm just lonely and I just want to feel that closeness again. Because if you are, that is the wrong reason for doing that. Other women out there, you may very well have a sex addiction. And if you feel like that's the case, then get help for that and eradicate that. I also know that there are some mental health disorders out there that are in that have people doing things impulsively. Okay, so really focus on you, your growth. Ask yourself what you can change, how you can be a better person. You should not be competing with other women out there. That is like a huge no-go. This is not a competition on who can wear the shortest booty shorts, even though you can rock them out, right? It's not a competition on who can steal whose man or screwing around with somebody who has a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you want to, like, there are bigger challenges out there and bigger things that you can aspire to be working on to feel validated. And it's something called goals. It's something called goals. Like, change your focus. Really think about what you can be doing to become a better version of yourself. If you're tired of getting hurt, tired of just sitting there, from one dead end to a relationship to the next, and if you've even found yourself completely bitter and you give up, like one of the signs of that, and I literally met a woman that said that. She was like, well, I don't care. I've been cheated on. I've been lied to. I've had 3 husbands. I haven't even been married once. I don't know how some of you women out there are like on your 3rd fucking marriage. Like, I have a toxic relationship. I've encountered that. Like, that in a nutshell is enough, right? So, but whatever. She's like, I had 3 marriages, so she's obviously been through it. So she felt her antidote was, I just get what I need and I go home and I'm good. And she's really not, because later on, and you're right, Tina, a real man can't be stolen. So this message totally doesn't apply to them. We're going to have a discussion about that end of it, the true men out there, the kings, okay? Because these little boys, man, oh my God. But anyhow, she later came back. Like, she was like, I have depression, I have anxiety, like things are exasperated, and I've just like given up, and I don't even want to go on anymore. And, like I told her, garbage in, garbage out. Like, I know you came to me in the beginning and you were all on fire about how you're going to fuck as many men as you want and send them home at the end of the night. You don't have to worry about no headaches, no aggravation, no stress. And you're just going to do you, and of course I'm not sharing it with her as I am right now, as far as dialect or tonality goes right now, because at that point my heart like really broke for her. I was like, thank God she got to that point, because whenever I hear women talk like that, I always say it's a matter of time before I have them coming back to me and they're depressed, anxiety ridden. They have a whole host of everything else going on. They've lost sight of the door that they've opened that has allowed them to get to that point, right? So when they are finally like completely broken down, I've reminded them. So I'm happy that some of those women actually recognize, because some don't. And they end up, there are women, unfortunately, that are still to this day, they'll remain in toxic relationships. They don't get out. They don't get out. And they're entertaining the wrong people, places, and things still, and they don't get out. So it's my hope, like through these messages, that eventually it strikes a chord even in those people. Because I had a woman message me recently who said she finally learned the lesson late in life and she's 60 years old. But hey, she's free. She's free and she's moving forward. I have no idea what that means, Tina. Anyhow, is that really who? Anyway, so bottom line is, when she came to me in like this state of brokenness, I reminded her. I was like, what did you let in? When you came and you said that you don't care, you're just going to get yours at the end of the night, like, think of the amount of men that you've been sleeping with, that you've been joining with, and what you're getting back from that. You're not getting anything back from that except running yourself ragged. You've depleted. You've been giving your power away. And that's another thing, ladies. That's the biggest thing. And hopefully, queens in the making. When you keep giving your power away like that, it may seem all cool in the beginning. And if you're going to convince yourself that you're in control and you have power by doing that, and I've already shared in the beginning of this message, in this video, how that is not being an empowered woman, that is you exercising free will and what the consequences are. But that is the consequence, continually giving your power away, your time and your energy to these men that are going nowhere. It's going to leave a void in you. And let's face it, there's already a void to start with to even operate and entertain acting those things out to start with. You just deepen that void and it becomes like a black hole. And that's the point of breakdown that I have met women at. And it's because you're giving your power away. You're giving your power away. So please stop doing that. You take your power back, and you take your power back by being an empowered woman, and an empowered woman protects her power. And stop listening to the bullshit from these predators, like, oh, you're a down chick. Oh, I like you. You're cool. Or, see, you don't care. You can kick it. We can have sex and call it a day and you're good. Yeah, hello. Those men out there that operate like that, they have said the same fucking thing to several other girls that you don't even fucking know about. Like, wake up. And if you're the type of woman to be like, well, I don't care, well, then those are going to be your consequences. You can't complain at the end of the day, even though you have free will to do so, that you're heartbroken, he gave you an STD, some girl wants to kick your ass. Like, if you're playing in dirt and drama, you're settling, you're taking the low road, and there are consequences to that type of lifestyle. So come out of it. Come out of it. Get empowered. Okay? So the fact that women are out there listening to these toxic men, these little boys saying you're a down chick because you can have sex and you don't get all emotional and you don't get attached. You are actually agreeing. You are actually agreeing to not getting emotional and not getting attached, which is one of the biggest components of a woman. Being an empowered woman is embracing your femininity, and part of that comes with non-negotiable having feelings and having emotion. It is the most amazing, beautiful part of a woman. It is what helps a woman nurture, okay? So, like, wow. So basically the man's telling you, like, you're not allowed to have emotions, and in your mind you're so desperate for love and attention, which that's not even love, but you're equating, and you want love and attention so bad that you're like, okay, well, just be cool. I'm not going to have emotions. Yeah, you're right. I could fuck without emotions, because, yeah, like, just keep feeding him, feeding that bullshit, right? And then you wonder why you're asked out or something happens. That road that you're on, that road, it leads to a whole bunch of shit and chaos. Like, you shouldn't even be bothering with that. But the fact that you will listen to a man say that you're a down chick because you can fuck without emotions, and you think that that's something to pride yourself in, means you have also decided to not be who you truly are. Because every single woman out there has emotions. You are, in essence, have shut those emotions down to appease a fucking loser. Because I know at the end of the day, that shit ain't feeling good. You can numb yourself just like some of those guys do when they lose the woman that they fucked up hardcore. They lose her, like she ain't coming back. And like, what do guys mostly do when they go through a breakup? They're out there getting under a bunch of other women, right? Because that's how they process stuff, they say, which is so fucking immature. And I know, like, there's therapists out there that are like giving reasons as to why, like, that's how men, because they're not emotional, they process their emotions, blah, 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 blah. But then that's why men they come crashing down much harder, because they'll go drinking, partying, screwing other women. And then the woman out there whatever, that was dealing with them was like, how can he do that? Like, I'm still blah, blah, blah. I'm single. I can't even imagine doing that. How can he do that? Well, the truth of the matter is, while the woman who has her shit right, she's the one that's not going to be jumping right into another relationship. She's going to be focusing on herself after she's either ended the relationship or it dissolved mutually, whatever the case may be. Generally, in those situations, it's not even mutual. Like when the guy fucks up and the good woman walks out, like the good woman, she doesn't need another man to move the fuck on. She doesn't need another man to get under, because she has self-love. Like she's not tolerating that stuff, right? So she's doing the healing while the little boy's out there running around screwing multiple women after the breakup. Okay. And that's when, by the time that woman rises up and has built herself, that's about the time that man comes crashing down. That's where you hear the men coming back in and, hey, how are you? You're looking good. You're looking happy. Yeah, why? Because you want to come and fuck it up again? I think not. And that's what you all need to recognize, that are operating opposite of this knowledge. And you need to embrace it and learn to love change, learn to love advancement, and to move forward. I'm hoping that these blinders are coming off already, because it is indisputable. You cannot change the definitions of an empowered woman, empowering, and free will. You can't change the definition, but a lot of you out there are doing it, misconstruing it, perversing it. So no, you're not empowered when you're giving your power away. So here's an example. And this is what I'm going to share with you. You thought I forgot, huh? Didn't forget this one. So good morning. Came across this question. Kim asks, I know he's toxic. He was horrible to me, but the sex was good. Would I be a horrible person if I just went back for sex? What are your thoughts? That was the question on my personal Facebook page. It is also the question on the Motivation Queens quote page. Take a hop on over there. There's a higher engagement. More people are answering questions there. It used to be more people were answering the questions on my personal Facebook page because that's solely where I was posting it. So I've deviated from that for other reasons. And I am now posting most of the questions on the quotes page. And the reason why I do this is to reinforce my message, to reinforce a message that is honestly universal, but in today's society and the way things have gone, unfortunately, people are losing sight of that. And they're losing sight of that because there's a lot of pain in the world. There's a lot of chaos and things of that nature going on, which is even more reason to keep your ass single, get your shit right, and really, really start being more selective, because, the good stuff, it's like hard to come by these days. It really is, given our world today. So you want to be really selective, because there's a higher number of people that have an anything free-for-all attitude, and they are calling evil good and good evil, and really perversing, the sanctity of marriage, the sanctity and structure of being committed and dedicated and having a monogamous relationship. You don't want to be in a relationship. You don't want to have a monogamous relationship, or whatever the case may be. While that is your free will to choose to do so, it still doesn't mean that it's a right choice and the right decision to choose to have the hookups, the one-night stands, screwing with people who are in relationship. And everybody has the free will to destroy themselves. They have the free will to give their power away. Like, that's without saying. Am I encouraging that? Absolutely not. Do I want to see that? Absolutely not. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I have these individuals come back to me completely broken, discussing things, and there's a lot of work to be done. But I'm making this point because do not call yourself empowered or an empowered woman. Do not say you're empowering other women when you're walking in this type of deception. But hey, more leaders are needed in this area, just like for the side of men, they need to start stepping up as well. So here we go. Some of the answers were obvious. No, that's not horrible. You're not a horrible person, just stupid. You can get over him if you can't get over him if you're under him. If he's toxic, that is the worst thing to do to yourself. It doesn't make you a horrible person, but you will feel bad inside, not worth it. And feel bad inside, not worth it is basically what she's saying is you're giving your power away. You're draining yourself. You're making yourself full access to energy vampires, people out there that are just going to drain you. It's going to go nowhere, period. It will go nowhere. Not worth it. You can do better. Not a good idea. And one man writes, a man. He writes, interesting question. A situation to be avoided, but if she holds the power, why not? Damn motherfucking right. What do you mean if she holds the power, why not go back to him for sex? If any of you women hear that coming out of a man's mouth, I don't even care, even if it's a woman, like, do not pass go, get the fuck up out, like, get out of that room because the thinking is so small, you have to get out of it to change your mind. Like, literally, what have I just shared? If she holds the power, why not? And you women out there, if you're having low self-esteem, like image issues, whatever the case may be, if you're hearing a man say that, you naturally think, oh, well, that's what they want. You're like, that, you know, if I act like that, like, they think I'm powerful. Like, that is not powerful. That is you giving your power away. So he said, if she holds the power, why not? But I fear she doesn't. So in that case, no, run like mad and never look back. If she holds the power, she can. Tina's like, what? I know, I'm laughing so hard on this one. Because the truth can never be fucking hidden. That's the beautiful part of the truth. Like, the truth is, like, it comes out eventually, and the funny thing is, you will hear a liar actually say the truth too sometimes in the same breath. Like, you cannot conceal the truth. They slip up. And why am I laughing so hard about this? While I appreciate your input, to the commenter out there, I really appreciate your input. For anybody that comments, you know, I don't even care. Haters, whatever. I'm going to still go hard regardless. The message is going to get out there. Because the guy that's up, you know, like fucking multiple women, he's just all like, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the ones that out there, they think they're going to break me down. Like, oh, woman, you should do this and you should do that. Like, honey, listen, when you know who you are and you know your worth and you know the hell the things you've been through and what you've overcome, like, after a while, and I've been through everything there is, and I know there's a hell of a lot more out there, like, I have no fear. Not the type of fear, like, there is no fear in my faith, my boundaries, my self-awareness, my self-love. Like, so I'm just going to keep going at it. So haters, whatever, you can comment all you want, but those guys out there, like I say, they get fueled up, they get angry. And it's funny because, like I said, I'm not trying to cock block you guys. I'm really not. I'm here to castrate. And bottom line, how that's going down is there are women that are already making changes that I've spoken to that are getting it, and they're like, whoa, I never thought of it this way. I didn't realize that. Yeah, these guys are lying to you. That is not having power. That is not being an empowered woman. Okay, just like they have leveled up their bullshit and are going to tell you anything, including that, to get you to lay down. Notwithstanding, there are women out there that are not walking in their power, and they're choosing to be nasty. They're choosing to be dirty, just like those men. So unfortunately, the women who don't operate like that and they get caught up in that through deception, that's you guys out there too I'm talking to, and I'm looking out for you as well. And the women that weren't aware because they are lacking self-love, self-respect, self-confidence, have self-esteem issues, and they think that this is the way to get that and to build that up. Like, you know now that it's not, because that guy is not, he does not have your best interest in mind. He's going to use and abuse you in ways that you probably haven't even uncovered yet. But I promise you, if you stay playing around in that, you're going to uncover a whole bunch of stuff that you're just not going to be happy with. You know, I hear this all the time. These girls coming back, well, he lied to me and he said this and he said that. Like, you look at the blueprint of how that relationship started, what it consists of. And when I look at these things, I'm like, how did you not see that coming? You decided to hook up with him and act as though you didn't have emotions because he said it was cool and he can get down with you. You decided to have friends with benefits. You decided to engage in all these things. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Anything that starts out with a lie is going to end up and end with a lie. You like, I can go so many different ways with that. Okay, so I'm laughing hysterically because he says, interesting question, a situation to be avoided, but if she holds the power, why not? But I fear she doesn't. So in this case, no, run like mad and never look back. How about you hold on to your power, and an empowered woman protects her power by, period, run like mad and not look back. And what he's basically saying is, based on that girl's response, that she misses the sex, even though she knows that he was a toxic partner, she misses the sex. He's like, already, a guy's already saying, like, there's a weakness there. Like, that's weak. And he knows that that's weak. That's why he says, like, if she holds the power, she can do it without emotion. Then she can go forward and do it. But I fear she doesn't. And obviously, that's obvious that she doesn't, because an empowered woman is going to protect her power. And if a man was abusive to her and horrible to her, she's not going to go and give her power away by fucking him. Like, what? What is that? But the sad thing is, as frustrating as that is, this girl is actually that broken and was asking an honest question and really didn't even know what to do. And Tina, you know about that person. And she really believed this. She was just like, I missed that. And that just tells me, like, that's like not mind over matter. That's just like lust. That's just like lack of self-control. That's thinking that it's going to change the situation. And it's a whole host of other issues that could be going on there with the individual. Okay. If you're ever in that place of brokenness, please be advised. My suggestion is to remain where you're at, not the brokenness. Remain where you're at. Don't backtrack. Don't go into entertaining somebody else. And you're stunting, you're stopping the process of the growth. And that is definitely not the time to be making decisions when you are in that situation. I have learned a lot from my broken places. No matter, and I laugh because it's like, wow, okay. Because I don't laugh at the time that I'm feeling it, but when I look back and I overcome it, pain is your best fucking friend. It legitimately is. When you go through it, you can't say that. When you go through it, you can't say that. It doesn't feel like that. I've learned my hardest lessons in my brokenness. I've learned my hardest lessons by maintaining self-control, sticking to my boundaries, and having everything that I share with you. I don't do the hookups. I don't do the friends with benefits. I don't give a flying fuck what a toxic man has to say about that, what a toxic boy rather has to say about that, or the to each his own, like this chick over here, she'll do it, then you can go have at that. But my message is for those women that do that, understand that that's what those men actually think of you, and I want you to be empowered, and I want you to take your power back. I don't give away my power. I don't give away my power. In brokenness, there is humility, there is reflection and accountability. And that is why in brokenness, there is humility, because there is that accountability, there is that reflection. Okay. And during that time, you don't stop that process by jumping back to the ex, going back into that toxic relationship, taking the focus off of yourself. And we're going to go in therapy now. Go by yourself. Get rid of that person. Go by yourself. Work on you. For every day that you are choosing to be single, until you aspire and do what it is you need to do for your own betterment, your growth, and your health and your well-being, in addition to keeping your power, saying no to those toxic situations and toxic places people think, saying no to hookups and, oh, well, I need to get laid and this and that. Like somebody said, Tina's known for saying this, buy a dildo. Like, it isn't even really that, like, come on. Literally. So I love you all. God bless, no stress. Please understand the difference. And I'm going to just do a quick recap. Past tense, empowered. The word empowered, past tense, means to give someone the authority or power to do something. I'm giving you the authority and the power to recognize your self-worth, your self-love, and I've given you the tools to apply. Stop your hookups, stop the cheating, stop the backstabbing, stop getting involved with men that are in relationships, stop agreeing to be a friends with benefits because you want some attention and love, and stop all of that stuff. Give yourself love. Stop giving your power away. So again, empowered is to give someone the authority or power to do something. If you are an empowered woman, which you will be, if you take these principles and put them to practice instead of being like, oh, why are you saying that? Like, oh, like face it. Face the dark parts of yourself. We all have to do it. It's very easy for someone to say that they should stop drinking. They know it's not good for them, but it's not very easy for someone to say, I really should stop giving my power away. Think of that. To be empowered means you protect your power. To empower is to bring awareness to the fact that making someone stronger and more confident is in controlling their life. Do not fall prey to the men whose lives are out of control, their minds, their mood, their wills, their emotions, their choices. Do not give your power away by lowering your standards and settling and coming into agreement with a man, or rather a boy, who's lost total control and has no control over his life, and start adapting to his way of life, because that is going to drag you down. And please, you have your own life to live, right? So present tense for empower. Empower, make someone stronger and more confident, especially in controlling their life. So control your own life. You have your own life to worry about, and claiming their rights and claiming your rights as an empowered woman. Empowered women empower women. Be empowered so you can empower others, especially our young girls out there. Not everybody's going to listen. Not everybody's going to get it, but there's seeds. But this is also an awareness, because I've actually broken down now the definitions of empowered, empower, and free will. And that free will is not to be confused with being an empowered woman or empowering others, because free will has absolutely nothing to do with those two things. And you're not empowered if you're giving your power away. Free will, the power of acting without the constraints of necessity or fate. Having no constraints, no control, doing whatever. The ability to act at one's own discretion, even if the choices are wrong, whether you intentionally know the choice is wrong and you walk into it, or you're unaware, you have decided to operate in free will as opposed to holding on to and maintaining your power. Empowered is not the same as free will. However, you have free will to choose to be empowered. So make the choice today to be empowered. Please. Okay? An example of this is some women exclaim, so what, I love sex. I'll dress any way I want to. I'm an empowered woman. I'm confident in my own skin. I have no problem sleeping with as many men as I want, and I can handle it. I can do my hookups and have friends with benefits, and because I'm in control of me and I'm confident. To have this mentality, remember, in closing, to have this mentality because women are stigmatized. Women will have this mentality because they feel like they're tired of being stigmatized for liking sex or wanting sex. It's not about liking or wanting sex. It's about the power you give away, and that is it. In giving your body and your time and your attention, you're giving yourself away. Liking sex has nothing to do with not being empowered. You can be an empowered woman and love sex. That's it. You're just not freely giving your power away. Again, you have free will to choose to, but please make the decision. Remember, empowered is not the same as free will. However, you have free will to choose to be empowered. So please choose that. Please choose to be empowered and protect your power. Going forward, I have no problem sleeping with men, friends with benefits, hooking up, because I'm in control, I'm confident. To have this mentality, because women are stigmatized for being called a slut, whore, etc. And basically, by operating like that, having that mentality, you believe you're sending the message of being empowered by doing these things, entertaining these things. It shows some strength and some character, and you're in essence breaking the stigma. Power to women, right? You're breaking the stigma. In essence, you're actually not breaking it. You're reinforcing the stigma. And you're also sending the message out there, the wrong message to these broke men, that all women operate at this capacity and that this is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for the empowered women, the women that know their worth, and it's just not cool. In essence, some women are reinforcing the stigma that is actually coming against women because they're choosing their free will to act without constraints, taking away their power. What I'm sharing with you are notes that I have taken and my writing. You see, it's all like blah, blah, blah. But this stuff is actually going to be in more depth in my book called From Loneliness to Life. So I'm sharing with you some of this because some have asked, well, how do I be an empowered woman? How do I love myself? You're getting some of the preview and more to come. Okay? So stop giving your power away to someone else. Who is that someone else? Understand that there are foolish boys out there, toxic men that feel that their self-confidence, their self-worth is indicative of how many women they can sleep with and how many times they can get laid. And actually, that's also why those toxic men are nasty and controlling, because you're just giving your power away. So you're entertaining these guys on the level of hookups, one night stands, and then they're dropping you one night, calling you up the next week, yelling at you, screaming at you, like, I told you we're not in a relationship. You know, all these things that you encounter, really think about that. When that all happens, who the fuck really has the power? Who's got it? You're not having it in that moment because you've entertained that type of relational connection that is toxic, right? You're giving your power away to that person. So that toxic boy. So that's why don't be surprised when it's not going the way you thought it would go, or he's nasty to you one day and the next day it's about sex and you're claiming that you're just so like able to detach emotionally, and then things come spiraling down. It's like you're not in control. Recognize that you're not in control. You're giving your power away and allowing somebody else to be controlling, to control you. That's why these toxic men, they get nasty and they get upset, especially when my messages come, you know, sorry, but not sorry. Because when I say to you ladies, don't backtrack, queens in the making, the queens that are already there. Tina. Whatever. Like Tina says, power to the pussy isn't real. It isn't real. It isn't real. It's about your self-control. Thank you, Tina. I just lost my train of thought on that one point. But it's worth it because it's short and sweet. Power to the pussy isn't real. Get over it. I'm going to tell you what's real. Shaking that ass with class, having class, self-respect, boundaries, and keeping your shit tight. Like, nobody wants anybody that's been with everybody. Get out of here. Get out of here. So anyhow, yeah, so these toxic men are going to like hate, you know, the message, and I don't care. Like I said, I'm here to like, I'm not here to cock block by any means, but I'm here to castrate. And they get mad when I tell you ladies not to backtrack to those exes, stop with the friends with benefits, stop with the hookups, all this stuff. They're like mad because they want you to be dumbed down. They want you to listen to their stupid ideas and their out of control life, to have you for how they want you to be, to serve what they want, their needs. And it's like, if you're going to sit there and say, well, I'm getting my needs met too. I had the best orgasm ever. If that's all you're striving for, reevaluate yourself. Because I can have my family, which is so dear to me, my friendships, my vision, my passion, my happiness, my emotional well-being and health intact, money in the bank, things taken care of, knowing who I am, keeping toxicity away, being around the right people, places, and things, and have all the fucking multiple best orgasms I want from all of that, in addition to having my match. But you're all out there operating outside of all of that in misery, upset, lonely, betrayed, broken, angry, even bitter. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to fuck whoever I want. You're making decisions out of that pain that are actually self-destructive and have convinced yourself that you don't really care because you had the best orgasm and that's it. That's not really it. And deep down inside, you know it's true. So everything I just shared just before about having my family, my friends, and all this other stuff, like, I'm sorry, I want the full package. Settling for like what, a minute of pleasure with like a whole host of aggravation and sickness attached to that, like, that's a whole other topic. My focus right now is to really drive the point home hard about what the definition of empowered, empowering, empower, and free will really is, and everything else that I have just shared with you, which it will be again outlined in my book, From Loneliness to Life. And that's just the title alone, From Loneliness to Life. You'll understand there is life and there is freedom in the truth, and there is freedom in not settling for less than you deserve. The best. The short version is, when you give your power away to a man thinking like you're a down chick, you're a cool chick, and all this stuff that comes with that you're lowering your standard. You're choosing to lower your standards and to settle without being aware, or even aware and just don't care. Just remember, that is not the example of an empowered woman. Both are not a strong example of an empowered woman. In fact, that is definitely not the definition or an example at all of what an empowered woman represents. And if you were to advocate or talk with other teenagers, or if you work with children and you got girls there, you're not going to stand on your at your podium and say, to be an empowered woman, ladies, remember, it is okay to have hookups. It is okay to do these things. There's no testimony in anybody sharing how they have benefited in hookups, friends with benefits, and sleeping around and messing with men that are attached. There's no testimony in that. There's no story in that. The only testimony and story that comes from that are women that become aware and recognize that that was a path that they were on, and it's like they want to get other women to get off of that path. So I hope one day there's a woman speaker that comes forward with that type of story, like, hey, I used to be that, and then they come forward and they share how the hookups and the one night stands, they get in depth with that. But you're not empowered. And I want you to have your power back, and I want you to be empowered. And this is why I am just pressing at this. So being empowered is in your ability to be in control and have self-control, self-love, and self-respect, and recognizing. Showing you're empowered isn't displayed in how well you rock that sexy outfit. Being empowered is rocking that sexy outfit whichever way you choose to wear it. It's all good, right? But it's for your own damn self, and to deny access to men who have no self-control. So remember, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. So I love you all. God bless. No stress. There will be more. I will share more. And please, it's a lot to take in. So this is one of these videos where you're going to have to rewatch it. And Tina, man, I'm going to call you when I'm finished with this live. I love you girls. I honestly do. I honestly love you girls. I've had conversations with my own daughters about this. And at the end of the day, whatever somebody decides, like, I have no control over that. I just hope that, again, you make the decision and you exercise your free will to choose to be empowered and to take your power back if you've given it away. So there's still hope there too. If you're giving your power away, just try it. You're going to piss off a lot of guys, and it's fucking hilarious. because they're the wrong type of men anyway, and they should have no business or access to you. Get your power, take your power back, right? Make that phone call today. Send that text message out. Like, you know what? I'm so over this. This is what I'm looking for. I have things that I have to work on. I'm looking for a monogamous relationship. And no, do not be like, so if you want to step up, like, then you can get back in touch with me. Those type of men are not worth it. Just pick up the phone, send that text message today, and say, you know what, this thing between you and I is honestly toxic. It's not going anywhere. I'm moving on. Do not answer the phone ever again. Literally start going no contact with a whole bunch of them. All of them. If that's what you got in your back pocket, or even one, if you got one of them. Cut it off, because what you're also doing is cutting off that energy in your life. You stop giving your power away. You're cutting off that energy and that vibe in your life, because what you're putting out, you get. And also, too, when it comes to the deception, what you put out, you get. But like I said, you can be on your A game and somebody will still creep in. Deception will creep in. But like I always say, it's what you do with that and with that knowledge. And if you uncover that type of deception, you protect yourself. You protect your energy. You protect your power. There are no second, third, fourth chances with somebody that should know better. There are no second, third, fourth chances when anything is presented to you at a level much lower than what you would give yourself. You cut that off. You move forward. There's too many, the sea, the sky is not even the limit. I love you all. God bless. No stress.